Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to week 4 of Shadowcast, hosted by Team Hallowed Sky. I'm filling in for Sarah this week. I'm Tejjy. I'll be your host, and with me today are Sizouney and Aka. Sizouney and
Hey
Aka,
guys,
say hi to the people.
how you doing?
Aka, you there?
Hello, everybody.
All right. So, how have you guys been doing this week? How's the Shadowverse been?
I've been way too busy with way too many tournaments, and I have no practice on the decks.
So, what tournaments have you been actually participating on?
I've been playing in, I was playing in the internal tournament the other day, practice for NG.
That was a fun one, yeah.
That was a pretty good one. Yeah, Ted, you got 4.
We had to play each other twice once in the first round and then again in the losers bracket. And I managed to make 4th, but not quite enough to qualify. There's 6 more weeks of that though. You can check it out in the Disastra Discord, which is linked to in most of the competitive team Discords if you're not already in it. So yeah, a lot of tournaments this week. A lot more coming up. Exciting stuff. But first, before we get into tournaments, I want to talk a little bit about the new patch. The new patch just dropped last week. And so first things first, you got to get it out of the way. Phoenix Roost finally came out of maintenance. It was in maintenance for a couple months. What do you guys think? I know what I think, but I want to hear what you think.
Are you excited for it, Sizouney? Because I'm not.
Well, I mean, I've been saying this all week. Phoenix Roost is the best card in my D-Shift deck.
If only. Make the Sheaf the Dragon card, then that would be cool.
Okay,
no, he means when people played against him, it's the best card in his deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just I sit there as D-Shift and I get to turn 5 and I just have to lethal then and there. It's pretty cool. I like it.
I mean,
I would have to agree.
I like to be friendly with my opponent once in a while. Instead of just attacking his face and killing him every single time, it's kind of nice to actually give him free mana. Just take this 5 or 6 mana for your next turn. Why not? It's always nice. Actually, I have 2 words for Phoenix Roost bad card. So as a deck builder, I like to look at cards for 3 major stats. So basically, I evaluate them by the value they give you, the tempo they give you, or the win condition. So for instance, we have cards like Seraph, which is bad tempo, bad value, amazing win condition. And then we have cards like, well, Elise, which is amazing value. And then we have cards like the old Baphomet Enhance, which is a loss of tempo, but increases your next turn's tempo. So Phoenix Roost, in terms of value, is a -1 because you're technically discarding a card. In terms of tempo, it's a -5-ish because you're spending 5 mana for kind of nothing. And in terms of win condition, by itself is not a win condition. So you either giving a win condition to your opponent or to yourself. So it's kind of like neutral. So technically it's a -, which means it's just a bad card. That's my analysis on it.
Honestly, I think Phoenix Roost has been gone so long that people had got their rose-colored goggles screwed on tight. You know, they started to think that it was a good card again. But nope, Phoenix Roost is still garbage. Still pass turn 5 and accelerate your opponent's next turn.
It's a fun card, though.
Definitely fun, but I feel like not so much fun when every time you play it, you lose immediately.
Oh, by the way, Mr.
feel like...
Sizouney, you had something to say about Dim Shift, right? The interaction with Phoenix Roost.
Yes, I actually got messed up by an interaction with Dimension Shift and Phoenix Roost because you lower the say you have an 18 cost D Shift and the opponent plays Phoenix Roost, it's going to go down to 9, obviously, right?
Oh, but spell boosts don't work anymore until it gets to 9.
But you need only every other spell works because it's uneven, right? It gets rounded up.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So say you spend 1 spell on it, you get 1 spell boost, and the cost becomes like an imaginary 17. It's still going to be 9 cost because it's rounded up.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't even have guessed that, really.
Yeah, me neither. Only Sizouney to play Dim Shift against Phoenix Roost. Only Sizouney.
Well, all right. Well,
anyways,
so Phoenix Roost, not a good card.
Actually, I have some interesting ideas. So we were talking yesterday about a discard dragon using Phoenix Roost because you have good synergy with what's the call? The Dracomancer's Rights, right? And you also have the Imperial Dragoon because Imperial Dragoon gets 5 costed, so it combines well with the small drops that 2 damage when you discard cards.
True.
Would you try that though, or just think Phoenix Roost is unplayable?
Well, yeah, I would have to go with. I don't think I've ever dropped a game against a Phoenix Roost. Let's go with that.
I haven't dropped the game against the Phoenix Roost where the Phoenix Roost gave them a win condition.
Yeah, that I'll go with.
Like, I mean, I've lost a game to Phoenix Roost, but it's where the Phoenix Roost was a dead card, and they could have done exactly what they did the next turn without the Phoenix Roost.
Oh, definitely. I lost to a Genesis Forte because I didn't have my own Genesis Forte, and he had it next turn. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Speaking of Imperial Dragoon, though, what do you guys think of Imperial Dragoon leader?
That's actually our next topic, is the new leaders. For those who don't know, there was a Shadowverse card popularity poll, and the first place card in each class is apparently going to become an alternate leader. And they haven't been released yet, but we're all sort of waiting on those. So let me just run down the lineup real quick. For Forest, we got Fairy Princess. For Sword, we've got Albert. For Rune, we've got Daria. For Dragon, we have Imperial Dragoon. For Shadow, we got Cerberus. Blood has Dark General, and Haven is Moon Almirage. So, yeah, let's talk about... First, I want to ask, how many of these cards did you guys vote for? Did both of you guys vote in this poll?
Yes.
And did any of your picks get selected?
I voted for only 3, actually. Go ahead, Sizouney.
I didn't vote for any of these.
Really? None of them? 0?
I low-key wanted to vote for Cerberus because she has twin tails and that's adorable, but I actually didn't vote for her.
Really? Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Cindy Dwayne.
For which one? Oh, Sarah Dwayne. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Sarah Dwayne I wouldn't have minded either. I think I did end up voting for Cerberus. Just because I knew I pretty much knew she was going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to vote for something different, but yeah, she was.
Yeah, I voted for... Actually, my votes did not win, I believe. I won one, actually. I voted for Moon Almirage, Merlin on the Runecraft, and Otohime.
Yeah, I voted Merlin.
Yeah, Otohime on the Swordcraft, because I love waifus, man. It's just...
I love waifus, too. Let me tell you. And I was a little bit upset that some of these leaders. You know, they're all going to be all right. But I think actually an interesting point to bring up is that a couple of these leaders, I think the poll in large part was dominated by the Japanese player base, still quite big compared to America.
Yeah, definitely.
And Fairy Princess, both Fairy Princess, I think Dark General, and Imperial Dragoon are all fairly famous voice actors in Japan, which really gave them the leg up on the competition.
Yeah, that has to be a factor because I did not expect Fairy Princess to actually win.
Yeah,
because
Fairy Princess is very famous VA. Imperial Dragoon, fun fact. Imperial Dragoon, fun fact, is the voice actor for Seto Kaiba in the Japanese version of Yu-Gi-Oh.
That makes sense.
So that's I was a little upset. I kind of wanted Greya. For Forest, I think I voted for Cynthia. And Sword, I wanted Roland. I really wanted Roland, but I guess I'll continue to not learn Swordcraft.
Let me have the liberty of asking a reverse question. What leader did you not want to see at all win? For me, it's an easy answer. It's this head shall not be taken. Because I'm sick of seeing that card. I don't want to see that card every single turn. No.
Yeah, Cerberus is a lot easier on the eyes and the salt levels.
Yes. What about you guys? Do you have any particular leader you do not want to see because it's just annoying, the voice lines?
You know, I did my grind to master, my original grind to master in the, I think this was ROB meta when Albert was everywhere.
Oh.
So I have a little bit of a special place of tilt for that card. So yeah, for me, it's probably Albert's going to be the least fun one to see, but he's still a step up from Latham, so
Yes.
I think it'll be all right.
I'm excited to
Anyways.
see actually the voice lines because it's all
Yeah,
fun
the
and
voice
games.
lines I'm very excited to see, and some of the animations should be cool. But let's move on to nerfs. There were a whole bunch of nerfs this time around, actually, and they nerfed some legendaries this time. So, Aka, Siz, what are your thoughts?
I think these are some of the best nerfs in a very long time. Actually,
I
like
definitely
I'm
agree.
surprised. I'm surprised by how little it took to balance out the game. Because people were complaining left and right about how this is the worst state that the game has ever been in. And I feel now we're back to like some of the most balanced gameplay we've seen since ROB.
Oh, definitely.
I agree.
I would have to agree with that. Do you guys
Like,
want to talk about any specific cards?
We could go in order. I just want to add to Sizouney's opinion that the meta now looks very healthy. I don't see just one class being represented. I see a lot of archetypes in different classes. I see Burn Rune, I see Dimension Shift Rune, I see Bat Blood, I see Vengeance Blood. I think a lot of the classes are being well represented, which actually made practice for NG really hard. We could talk about that later, but I definitely agree with the healthy state of the meta.
I think that we're back into a TOTG meta, but like there's not these dominate like mid-range Shadow and Vengeance Blood are very heavily represented, but they're like definitely not as dominating as they were back then.
Same with Dragon, actually. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
For sure. So, obviously, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the individual nerfs. Bloodcraft got hit quite hard. 3 nerfs to that craft in Baphomet, Tove, and Spawn of the Abyss. So pretty heavily targeting that list. Just as basically killed the old neutral Spawn decks and not completely the neutral Phantom Cat decks, but definitely a much weaker deck now that you can't rely on your high roll Toves and Goblin Leaders. Havencraft got hit with Snow White, and Dragoncraft got hit with Ouroboros, and Neutral got hit with Grimnir and Goblin Leader. So, do you guys like all of these nerfs? Are there any that you were unhappy with? Are there any cards that you think should have been nerfed? I have here just as some ideas. Alice and Heavenly Aegis potentially. I don't really think Heavenly Aegis needs a nerf, but Alice was definitely a contender for a nerf, and maybe even Actress Feria. What do you guys think about the decisions they made to nerf?
Yeah, we could go like by order. I think one of the most impressive nerfs on this meta, and that actually made people argue a lot and discuss a lot, is the Baphomet nerf. I've seen in other discords and other teams, people are on the side, either take two sides. So the side on the I love the Baphomet nerf or I hate the Baphomet nerf. I'm on the boat that loves the Baphomet nerf. I think it was necessary. I think they messed up a little bit because they wanted to print the school card, which I believe is really cool. The Spawn of the Abyss. I think it's a very interesting card, but they kind of forgot the synergy with Baphomet, and to have a 6-drop Spawn of the Abyss is just way too strong. And I think that cutting the Baphomet was the biggest nerf in this nerf rotation, I believe, because now classes can actually deal with Spawn on turn 8, which was not the case beforehand.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, while I agree that like Baphomet really needed a nerf, now we need to see something new in the next expansion that actually like enables these decks. Like we're not going to see snakes anymore. You're not going to see OTK Assassin anymore. These decks.
Well, you say that, but I lost the snakes yesterday.
Well, that's because you suck.
Oh, that's true. Go on.
But I mean, like this card that all the like I mean I've seen Mestima Aria decks. I've seen so many creative decks built around this Baphomet that enables high cost followers, and it's kind of a shame that Spawn kind of get to destroy this fun for everybody.
Yeah, even just being able to run him in a control deck to pull out a greedy sort of Temptress Vampire.
Exactly, but I just feel like what the nerf kind of tells is that they have something planned, some more design freedom for next expansion, and I really hope that we're going to see something that makes up for this or nerf.
Yeah, though I agree with you, I have to add that the enhance effect I think was very troublesome, because in a competitive play you don't know what you're playing around, because you could play get a 3-mana Phantom Cat, you could get a 6-mana a 5-mana Abyss, sorry, you could get like 5-mana Snakes, so it's very hard to play around. But I do agree that Baphomet should actually draw or tutor a 5-mana card or higher, instead of just don't make it lessen the cost, because when you lessen the cost of cards, that's really dangerous to play around or balance or get some weird interactions. So I definitely agree that Baphomet now just seems like a boring goblin mage. It's Dragon Summoner, actually it just seems like a 2/1 Dragon Summoner. It actually has the same effect, which I don't know if Blood needed that, because Blood already has really amazing 2-drops. I don't know if Baphomet is actually run nowadays. I've seen some lists with it, but I think it's a boring card. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to also point out, back on the subject of cards they didn't nerf, the Alice, to me, the way they nerfed cards really implies that they're still on board with this whole neutral craft idea. They really didn't hit neutral craft. They hit Goblin Leader, which was pretty obviously a very silly card. But they left Alice up. They left Feria. They left everything else up in neutral. Grimnir, the nerf to Grimnir doesn't really affect neutral craft decks very much.
I mean, what we hear from side games every single expansion, or at least what we've heard for like the past couple of months, is it's too strong going first. And it was the same thing with Prince of Catacombs. You got to set him up on 3. It was too strong.
Yes.
And like that's the thing, and that's probably what we're going to need to look out for in the next couple of expansions as well. 2 and 3 drops are always going to be the most scary, because you have no answer for them that early before your Evo turn.
Yep. And I'm hoping side games learns from that going forward, that you really need to be very careful about printing these 2 and 3 drops, because that's really what they're nerfing over and over.
Yeah, I think they learned a lot with the Tove, honestly. I think the Tove change... Yeah, I think the Tove change actually made them realize... Oh, you guys call him Tove. Sorry, I call him Tove. My apologies. It's okay. I think they learned a lot with Tove, because they try to be funny. They try to be like, oh, let's make a different 2-drop. Let's make him a 3/3. The problem with the 2-drops is that you cannot change their stat wise, because if you make even if Tove was a 2/3, that's way too powerful, because the 2/3 on turn 2 kills every single 2-drop and even trades with some 3-drops. So Tove, some people were talking about being a 3/2 with the rush, but that's just the same problem, because it's still the same 2-drop. You're still trading with a 3/2 into a 2/2 most likely. So what I think is that don't try to be cute with the 2-drops. People were saying Dovin is now a boring card, that it's like all the others, but I think that's positive. Do you want your 2-drop to end the game? Do you think a 2-drop should be that powerful? I don't think so. So I think it's a good, healthy change.
I agree. I think that the new Tove is garbage. I think it will not ever be played. But I agree that he was. I didn't see a good way to make that card balanced and fun.
That's the problem. You don't have an alternative way to make it fun, because just 2-drops are too limited and to actually make.
Absolutely.
I mean, the way he was designed was to have like a major drop, hold back his crazy stat line, but because neutral ended up being as strong as it is, this drawback didn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like not only did Blood enjoy running like 30 neutrals, every single deck does.
Yeah.
There is nothing that holds this back.
I saw an interesting kind of idea to make Tove lock reset every single turn. So you'd be forced to play a neutral card every single turn to use your Tove. But I still think that's too powerful, because even if you use Tove once, you still get the effect, which is at turn 3 you can kill anything and still have a board.
I agree. So I think, I mean, Grimnir Ouroboros was a little bit of a blindside on the dragon nerfs. I really more expected them to hit Sybil, but again, I think that they've shown now with 2 rounds of nerfs, Sybil getting through, that they do not want to hit that card alongside, I'd say, Iktar. I don't expect them at this point to hit either of those cards.
I think those cards are necessary for the craft to even be played, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think
that those are really the staple cards of those respective crafts. I'm happy about Sybil in that regard. I'm a little less happy about Iktar, just because Iktar being as strong as he is really narrows the play field for Shadow deck building, because he basically means you can't run Nephthys decks. Because why aren't you just playing Iktar instead? Because Iktar does not synergize well with Nephthys. He does not synergize well with Dark Alice. I don't think Dark Alice is very good, but he does limit the playing field a little bit for creative Shadow deck building. Whereas,
but I mean that's a difference we've seen from this expansion as opposed to last expansion, because last expansion Nephthys was actually played to quite a fair extent. Close to the end of the expansion.
Yeah. Though who knows? Maybe we'll see Nephthys resurge in popularity. The meta's probably still settling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem I have, I actually played both decks. First, I was a big Nephthys fan, so I did not have Ektars. I actually built my Nephthys first. So I played a little bit of Nephthys, and then I crafted my Ektars actually this week, and I started playing Ektar. And what I feel now that I go back to Nephthys is, okay, I have a powerful turn 8, but why am I not playing Ektar? I have a powerful turn 7. That's way better than a powerful turn 8, because the Nephthys turn 8, basically you clear your opponent's board and establish your own powerful board. But you can do that with Ektar. Ektar giving Rush to minions is just a crazy ability. I am of the opinion I overvalue Rush. I love Rush. I think it's one of the strongest mechanics, and the fact that Iktar gives Rush to every single minion, including the zombies, for technically 7 mana, I think it's way too strong, because you just swing the entire board against your opponent. So I think that playing Nephthys there feels kind of bad, because you're delaying 1 turn of impact, but I definitely think that Sizouney is right. I think Nephthys is kind of in the shadows of Ektar. It's not a bad deck, it's just that Ektar it's just so good that throws Nephthys kind of under the carpet, I guess.
Yep. So, we'll see. Maybe they'll just power creep last words and try to bring Nephthys back, or maybe they'll just decide, nope, Nephthys is 2 expansions ago, move on with your lives, guys. 3 expansions ago, next pack, right? They'll just say, move on with your life, and, sucks to BS.
There's actually something I want to, now that we're talking about nerfs, what do you guys think about the nerf on Spawn of the Abyss? I have an interesting opinion about it, but I kind of want to hear you guys first.
Well, honestly, I didn't play much Spawn of the Abyss beyond the first week or so of the expansion. I switched pretty quickly over to Phantom Cat, so I maybe don't really have a very strong opinion. I think it's probably a good nerf. I've heard some cool combos like Spawn of the Abyss into Azazel, OTK sort of thing. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty cool card still. Definitely still strong.
What about you, Sizouney? Do you like the nerf? Would you make it different? Would you?
Honestly, I barely played Spawn. The reason I played Spawn in the first place was because I played against people and didn't know how it worked, and I realized it's the most monkey thing in the whole world.
Yes.
But yeah, I haven't really played Spawn, and I haven't really towards the Spawn deck ever after, because the one thing that bothered me about the Spawn decks was the neutral aggro portion. The Spawn itself was not a big deal, or at least I didn't think so.
Yeah, so I actually climbed to Master, playing a lot against Spawn. So the thing with Spawn is that the turn 6 being able to deal 16 damage is too crazy. I mean, it's turn 7 technically. It's way too crazy, way too fast. But I think this change actually does not address that. I like the change on Baphomet because it stops that. But honestly, my opinion on Shades of Spawn is that it is irrelevant. I don't say that as a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with this.
Yeah, I don't say that spawn is OP. I say that the change is irrelevant because 16 damage or 13 damage. Honestly, I played against a lot of spawn, and having 3 less damage on the spawn would not matter at all. I would still die because the early game was so strong. It always did 4 or 5 chip damage, so it's not a problem. I think they changed that honestly because of PR reasons. I think they do not want the community to have a backlash against Psy games because since Spawn was literally the best deck ever on the last expansion, this expansion, everyone, their kids, their dogs, their cats crafted 3 spawns if they could. So it's kind of like a refund,
like me.
because exactly. Because now since Spawn is technically not as playable as before, they kind of wanted to refund the people that crafted Spawn. So they were like, let's make a small change so people get the 3,500 vials. I think it was kind of
actually
like
a good
that.
point.
Yeah, that's my opinion. It's kind of interesting. I think it was kind of like that, just to stop a backlash, probably.
Yeah.
Because 13, 16 doesn't make much difference. Actually, another interesting point is Grimnir. I like the Grimnir change. I think it was just auto fit in every single deck, and now you actually see people cutting Grimnirs and thinking more about their 3-drop choices, which is really good for the environment, I believe.
I always, and this is something that I do after every set of nerfs, is I baby rage a lot about it. Like, oh man, I love that card so much. I use it in my decks. Like, now I have to go and change stuff. And then I realized, wait a second, being able to cut like cards, but because before you had to run 3 Grimnir, especially in control decks, you had to run 3. You had to do it in every deck. There was no debate. It was so good.
Yeah, no, I mean it's what you're saying.
Now you free up 1 or 2 more deck slots for creative deck building.
Yeah, it's definitely healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
A card should not be an auto include in every single deck. That's absurd.
Anything, honestly, at this point, I've reached a stage where any nerf that frees up space for creative deck building, and I think the same thing is true of Ouroboros. I've cut that down to 1 in a lot of my dragon deck building. It just frees up space for other interesting cards, more tech choices, just other stuff.
I mean, that's why the environment is so healthy now. Because before, it's same with Goblin Leader. We were seeing every single neutral deck was running 3 off Goblin Leader and nothing else. Maybe a Grimnir, maybe 2 Grimnirs. But now we actually see a lot of interesting choices. I've actually saw the Disagreeable Demon on a neutral blood deck, which is definitely interesting. Yeah, because you had Angel of the Word, Goblin Leader were almost auto includes, but now you see there's different choices because Grimnir is actually not good in most decks that want to play aggro. It's still a good minion, and still stat-wise is really good.
Yeah, he's still, I mean, I wouldn't say he's not a good minion. I still would probably run him in my neutral decks, but maybe not as a 3 of,
Yeah.
You probably don't need 3 of him. You don't need 3 of him in your dragon decks anymore. His board clear is still great on 10, but, a 2/3 ward on 3 is not that ridiculous.
He's significantly weaker off the top, and that's something that matters in deck building.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same with
especially if you want to run 3 of him. You need him to be relevant in the late game, which obviously he is, but not quite as much as before.
Yeah, same with Snow White. Actually, I really like that change. I did not expect her to be changed, but now that they did it, I think it's actually really smart. Because every single Aven deck was running Snow White. I've seen Storm lists running Snow White. I've seen Aga's lists running Storm White. I've seen Seraph lists running Storm White. It's kind of like the same problem that Grimnir has. It's so good that every single Aven deck runs Snow White. Because there's no other 2-drop that does the work Snow White does. So yeah, I like the change.
Any card, and I think that's something that Side Games has been trying to target lately, is cards that are in every deck of an archetype, or every just every deck of a class or whatever. Partly it's a smart nerfing strategy because it hits all versions of whatever deck is overperforming, but I think it's also just it's cool because it really frees up deck building opportunities.
Yeah, same with Ouroboros. We actually had a
Exactly.
discussion on Hallowed Sky how to replace Ouroboros. Some of us did not replace him, others replaced him with uh, some lists with Jabberwock, other lists with Worm Goddess. We had some fun playing our dragons
As a
this week.
resident dragon main, I've got to warn all our viewers that, or I don't think Ouroboros or Jabberwock is a good card. I would not recommend that to anyone.
Yes, not recommend. Seal of
Sorry,
approval by
guys.
Mr. Tejjy.
Not the seal of approval.
The ability to cut Ouroboros, like if it fills up your dragon summoner pools to pull like Ayla or Sybil, which just ensures your early game so well.
Yeah, we are working on some lists. Actually, not to spoil too much, but we're working on some lists which are thinning the dragon minions just for that, just for the consistency on Sybil. Just because Sybil is so good and it's the face of that deck, we want to have as much Sybils as we can, just for that. And being able to cut Ouroboros, like you say, is really good. And not only that, the fact that your opponent dragon player also is cutting Ouroboros makes it so the mirror you are not forced to actually have Ouroboros.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you had no way to win if they had Ouroboros. Now it's really cool because you can actually ignore the Ouroboros and just go for a more aggressive face damage instead of the value play. Before you could.
Question for me is like, do we not run any now? Like, do we cut Genesis Dragon just to ensure the Dragon Summoner actually 3 different pulls?
Oh no! I don't think you cut Genesis Dragon.
It depends on the
I don't want to
list.
get sidetracked too much into a discussion about just Dragoncraft, but I will say that I want to tease this a little bit. We're working currently on an HSK website, and as soon as that's up, one of the first articles we're going to have on it is a reasonably in-depth guide into Ramp Dragon. So if you're interested in that, you're going to want to check that out once we got it up. It'll probably be in the next podcast or two. We will have that website ready to go. So cool little teaser.
A little teaser. We have very passionate dragon players on Hallowed Sky. We work very hard to make dragon work in all possible ways and forms. And yeah, that's basically
you know it.
You're talking about Zero?
Zero actually made the Jabberwock list. He actually made the Jabberwock list. Did not have much success, but he made it. So he's a
I gotta give him props for that.
Yeah, I call him a passionate dragon player because he tried to make Jabberwock work.
Oh man.
Anyways, continue on. What do you guys feel about Alice?
I think, like I said, that the nerfs to the lack of nerfs to Alice really tells me that what they're going for is they want neutral craft to be a thing. They really want that. They don't think neutral. They have not taken the community or the Reddit community's opinion on, oh, neutral craft is bad for the game. They shouldn't have printed it. This expansion shouldn't have happened. They do not agree with that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from this.
I actually hate that they didn't change Alice as a player, as a competitive player, because it's very frustrating to play against Triple Alice, for instance. I actually lost in a tournament because of that. Even though Blood was hit, Triple Alice is still really strong. But what I'm talking about, what I realize with it is that it's kind of like a PR move as well. If they nerf Alice, Alice is the face of the expansion.
Exactly.
She's the reason why you want to play neutral craft. If you nerf Alice, if you remove Alice from the game, which Cygames usually does with the nerfs, the whole expansion loses its meaning. It was pointless to print this expansion if you remove it.
It's sort of like they're admitting, oh, we messed up.
Even though as a player I hate Alice, I definitely agree as a business standpoint and as you need to do that. You need to stop the Alice attacks. You need to protect your face. She is the PR, we call it, of Wonderland.
And personally, I do not hate neutral craft. I think that the fact that what I do think is a little bit annoying are the 35 neutral card decks that you can, just the same thing in Rune, Blood, Sword, or whatever.
Yes.
What I don't think is nearly as bad are the more interesting neutral decks, something like Neutral Forest. I think Beauty and the Beast is really cool. Saha Ramp Dragon is not really a neutral deck, but it's definitely got a lot of neutral synergies going on. stuff like that, I think, is a really interesting way to approach neutral craft. And I think Side Games is really just saying, hey, look, neutral craft is a thing that it's going to be in the game now. And I would expect at least some neutral support in the upcoming expansion. You can quote me on that one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't hate the card by itself. I just think it was printed as too powerful, and now you cannot change it because it's just poorly designed from the beginning.
From this point on, you need to keep printing neutral support.
Exactly.
Like if you mess up one expansion, you're screwed.
Yeah, you'll always have backlash. Yeah, everyone will always remember the Wonderland.
But one thing is saying, like, you have 7 classes. If Forest doesn't get top tier cards, sure, Forest is weak. But if neutral doesn't get like cards that are actually viable and it dies out, then you're kind of screwed in that point.
Yeah. That's actually a very hard thing to do because you're affecting 7 classes when you print a neutral card. So if you make neutral craft really good, you can make one of the classes overpowered with that neutral package. It's really hard to deal with. But they try.
Balancing
so
card games is hard.
Yeah. Now they have to go with it.
So I don't want to spend too much time on the nerfs because we do have some other stuff to talk about. Most importantly, tournaments. We are, after sort of a lull at the end / beginning of the expansion, we are back into the full swing of competitive Shadowverse, which I love. We got several tournaments to talk about, but first things first, NGE last Sunday, NA NGE, our very own HSK Pancake Reaper took home 3rd place in that. So huge shout out to him. He did an amazing job. He brought Rune, Haven, and Blood and really just rocked it. So huge shout out to HSK Pancake Reaper.
Pancake's a genius.
Yeah,
he is a genius. Amazing
Mr.
deck builder.
Mr.
Amazing
CEO
guy.
made it.
The CEO of our team. Yeah, exactly.
Pancake was so good, in fact, that everyone thought we were Koreans just because of his play level. That's a thing. Hallowed Sky is actually
it
Korean
happened.
Too.
Yep.
That happened.
Exodia mistook us for a Korean team.
Because of Mr. Pancake.
So yeah, really great play from him. I think they have VODs for that. I'm not sure.
Oh no, there's definitely VODs.
Oh yeah, it was on Twitch. Yeah.
Our Discord and check out, talk to him. He's always down to give a little deck advice, whatever you need. He's an amazing deck builder, and yeah, we basically just steal his decks and bring them to tournaments.
That's our secret.
That's our secret. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, he's our leopard gnome working on the basement, crafting all the cool decks.
So that was NGE, and the 3rd NGE qualifying tournament will be held this weekend, and we will all be playing in those. So wish us luck.
Yeah, actually, it's
the
actually
last
tomorrow.
Chance for many of us to qualify.
EU on Saturday and NA on Sunday. I'll be participating on the EU, NGE, Sizouney probably too. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be streamed. So the top 6 or 8, if I'm not mistaken, will be streamed on Twitch, so you can actually follow that. If you see some HSK players, you can come and say hello and wish us good luck.
Absolutely. And then Sunday will be the NA NGE, and that is when the rest of us will be playing. Probably minus Pancake Reaper, since he is already qualified.
I mean, Pancake Reaper did say it was his last chance to play, so
that's true. He did.
Yeah, it's pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say lucky. I'd say.
But yeah, it's fortunate. He did it well.
Yep. So what else do we got here? Team League. Yes. So the HSK Team League Season 1 has concluded, and drumroll, HSK won.
Woo!
We actually went undefeated against all of our opponents. Not undefeated in games, but we won every match we played. It was a really fun event and some very, very high-level Shadowverse. The format, for those of you who weren't familiar, was 1 player on each team and then 2 players watching them from each team and just communicating with each other, talking about what plays should be made. So it's basically a 3 brains on 3 brains format. And it just ends up being some really, really high level Shadowverse play. Every play gets thought out thoroughly. Very, very few misplays compared to a single player piloting a deck. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we will probably be hosting another season pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And you can always check out the stream for that event on our Twitch, twitch.tv/HallowedSkySV.
I think the VODs are up as well.
That's true. We do have VODs, so you can go check those out. Our last match against Shadow Nexus was pretty clutch. We had a couple of really, really close games.
That was
really intense control matchups.
That was an awesome series. I had the opportunity to cast it. I advise you guys, if you didn't see the other matches, just go see that match. It's one of the most high-level Shadowverse I've actually seen, so it's really cool. Actually, I have a couple of questions for you. How is that format different than, for per se, NGE or the invitations where you solo play? Did you guys actually found it more difficult, more easy? People had your back, or how was it? Because you, Zero, and Sizouney, right, participated on that.
Yeah, we did. That's correct. I personally, I'll let this answer in a second, but personally, I found it really, really enjoyable. I think that we were definitely up against very strong opponents in those matches. Having three really competitive players all working together to try to take you down is a daunting task, but you got two of your own guys backing you up to take them on with. And so, like I said, it's very, very high level Shadowverse. If you mess up, you're going to be punished. There's always a chance to high and low roll like in every matchup, but there's I've always held the opinion that everyone plays way fewer perfect Shadowverse games than they think they do. And that really translates to this level of gameplay when all of a sudden you got three people, you're playing much closer to a perfect game, and really just mistakes that you might not be punished for on ladder, or you're going to be punished for.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sis?
I think that while it's true that this is like a game mode where you do have people backing you up, it's also one of the most difficult ones because you're working together with people. You need to come together and make a decision. Mm. You're working against a timer here.
Oh, right.
That's true, actually. That's true, when you have that many people, yeah, go on.
When I just joined the team, a week later, I was tossed into this team league and I had no idea what was going on. And this timer is almost the first time I've seen this being relevant in a game ever. Every single turn, this thing was against me.
Yep.
Like having to come together and make a decision with three people who needs to make the optimal play and play against everything is so difficult.
Yeah, because when you've got three people, you think of everything, or you think of a lot more things than you think of by yourself. And so you start realizing, okay, what can we play around, guys? What's our best play here? Oh well, but they could have this. Well, but the chances of them having that are less than them having this. Blah 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 blah. It takes time to sort it out and think it through quickly, decisively, and just make that play the right play. I agree.
But while it's super difficult in that aspect, it's also one of the formats where you learn more about the game, way more than you would by playing by yourself.
I agree.
You have people to reflect on the plays. You have people to learn. Like you learn everybody else's play style, and apply everything that you do to yourself.
Yep. It also, in my opinion, it gives you the opportunity to bring lineups that you couldn't necessarily bring to any other event. For example, we have Siz here is the prime example, who's really good at snow memes, and pretty much nobody else plays that deck. But Siz plays it and does well with it. But on the other hand, Siz plays almost no dragon. That's not to say that he can't play dragon, but he really has very little experience on it. So
come on, I can't play dragon.
So this is pretty much the only lineup where anyone will bring dragon and snow memes in the same lineup.
Especially considering it's a all classes need to be represented, right? Or am I mistaken?
No, it's a 5 deck, 1 ban.
Okay.
Yeah.
And snow memes being Conjuring Force Rune.
Yes, sorry. Conjuring Force Rune, the technical term. Yeah, so yeah, to get back a little on track, HSK took home first place, and second and third place were Trials of Faith and Shadow Nexus. So big shout out to those guys as well. What else do we have? Oh yeah, a couple more tournaments. We talked a little bit already about the Disaster Internal Tournament. Everyone should probably check that out. There is actually the top 2 or 3, I think, each week get an invitation to the Curry Cup version 2, volume 2, or whatever. And that tournament, that invitational tournament, will have a $400 first prize and a couple slightly less for second and third. So
there's a $200 for going second and $100 for going third.
There you go. That's it. So definitely worth your time. Would recommend. There's 6 more weeks of the internal tournaments where each week you have a chance to qualify for this this tournament with cash prizes.
And
even if you're not going for cash prizes, this is good practice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I was going to say. Actually, it's a good point because almost every time it precedes a big tournament on the weekend, so it's really good practice, like Sizouney said.
It is an all regions event, and you will be playing against. It wasn't huge this week, but you play against a lot of really, really strong players. These are pretty much all players who are established in the community on competitive teams and know the scene really well. So if you want to test your mettle, this is the place to do it. And with that, Shadow Nexus Invitational just happened today. HSK Sizouney played in that. You want to talk a little bit about that? I know it's a little bit tilting, but
I don't want to talk about that. I played.
You played what? Sorry.
I played so poorly in the. I went out first round, both in the winners and losers bracket, and I'm not satisfied with my showing at all.
Yeah.
Pretty
unfortunate.
It came down to my understanding of decks. I didn't understand the decks I was bringing. I brought a Conjuring Force Rune, and that was the only one I really performed well with.
Which is pretty opposite to what most people would end up doing, but
I mean, I brought mid-range Shadow and Aka. Decks just performed so badly.
Oh yeah, you get punished a lot if you don't get a good understanding of playing an aggro deck or a mid-range deck, because you gotta turn the switch on when to go face.
Ironically, I was just like, I'm just gonna bring like Moon Shadow deck. Yeah.
Yeah, keep talking.
No, it's just I lack the understanding of those decks. I underestimated how much it took to play those decks.
I have to say though, Sizouney, you definitely won in my heart because your Roach impression was by far the best.
Don't bring that up.
They made everyone do Roach impressions.
If you guys did not see that, yeah, just go look at the VOD because the tournament had a really cool. Let me talk, Sizouney.
Don't link the VOD.
Go check the VODs because the tournament had a really cool interview where you got to know the players, had really interesting questions, and they had to perform a Roach impression, which is also really cool.
The tournament was something thrown together by the Shadow Nexus Timmy, and I think it was a really great opportunity to make a tournament that's more fun for viewers to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I really enjoyed the concept, and I hope that this also happen again.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, it was an 8-person tournament, all relatively well-known streamers in the community, and just duking it out in a double elimination format. And Siz, unfortunately, did not do great, but he will improve next time. NGE, I'm seeing you top 3.
Yeah, top 1.
Top 4, right? Top 4. You can make
top 4 get qualifiers.
If I don't oversleep.
I'll wake you up, don't worry.
Don't worry, Sizouney. We got this.
All right. So I think that is about all that we've got for tonight. So yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Akamaru Red.
Hello.
Did a great job casting the team league. Shout out to the team league. And do not worry, we will be back with more very high-level Shadowverse gameplay soon. Soon. There will be another team league.
Yeah,
and we have some ideas in the works. We got a potential for a sort of less formal team league, potential for just some 3-man teams. Just group up with whoever you want, your friends, your enemies if you want for some reason, and just duke it out in 3v3 combat. Same format, but it wouldn't be restricted to established teams. So keep your eyes peeled. That might happen.
Yeah, also feel free to hit us with suggestions for formats or for content. We would be very much appreciated. Also, a big shout out to Whip, the producer of the visual for the Shadowcast, because we now don't have a black background.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Whip. So yeah, that's pretty much all from us. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Shadowcast with Tejjy, Sizouney, and Aka. And next week, Zero will be back. We'll be back on the air. Our glorious leader. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.